Hello, greetings. Pastor Mark here from the Word of Life Fellowship Church in Omaha, Nebraska, with a quick Bible study. Basically, it's a quick thought. I would like to stir your mind a little bit uh, to where you will maybe begin to think about something and read it for yourself. We've talked about this before. Asking, seeking, and knocking. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, Jesus is speaking here and he says, ask. I'm reading from my Bible app here. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. Now we've talked about this and others. You've probably heard many sermons or Bible studies on this very verse, perhaps. Jesus is saying, he's telling us to ask. But there's three levels here, and that I think is what most people miss. There's asking, then there's seeking, and then there's knocking. This next verse, before I get to that verse, in 1 John chapter 5, the 15th verse, John is writing to the church and he says, and if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. Now in the 14th verse, he says we have this confidence that when we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And then in this next verse, he says, and if we know that he hears us, whatever it is we're asking, we know we have the petitions that we have asked of him. That is confidence. And that is what so going back to Matthew chapter 7, we just read, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened. The next verse, verse 8, Matthew chapter 7, verse 8, for everyone who asks receives. Now some of you hearing that are saying to yourselves, well, that can't be true. Everyone who asks receives. And he who seeks finds. Now, everyone, that's everybody. That's a big group. He who seeks, that's a smaller group. Everybody asks, not everybody seeks. And even fewer. And him who knocks, and to him who knocks it will be open. So we got a smaller group here with seeking and knocking. Everybody can ask, and we all receive. We may not, here's the catch, if there is a catch. Sometimes we're asking a yes or no, and sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is yes, but sometimes the answer is no. Everybody who asks gets an answer. It may not be the answer they were hoping for. It might be exactly what they were hoping for. But everybody who asks receives. He who seeks, he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Now let's skip down in the same chapter to verse 11. Jesus is he's saying, oh, you guys, what person is going to give their kid something, piece of bread, when he asks for it? And he goes here, verse 11, if you then being evil, so and the contrast here is between God and men. If you then being evil, or I should say mankind, if you then being evil know how to give good gifts to your children, So we all know that. How much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? This is a continuation of verses 7 and 8. Everyone who asks receives, or he who seeks finds, to him who knocks it will be opened. So you can ask, everybody asks. Fewer pursue with seeking, and even less with knocking. But there is a promise. If you seek, you will find. And if you continue, you persist, and you knock, it will be opened. Everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't pass from asking to seeking and seeking to knocking. But asking and believing that God hears you and that he will give you what you need to answer your petition, having that confidence, knowing that he's heard and knowing that he will answer, is amazing. Everybody doesn't have that. Some of us think that's too simplistic, and they give it up because they believe in their heart it must be more difficult than that. And that's troubling. Faith is simple. We either believe him or we don't. We either believe him or we don't. Earlier today, I was in my garage looking for an apparatus I purchased last autumn, to help me distribute grass seed on my lawn. I had one. It's probably in there somewhere. I had it for years. It was the color red. So anytime I went looking for a little grass seed spreader, it was red. Well, now, since I couldn't find it last year, I bought another one, and it's gray, color gray. So today I went to where it should be in my garage. I found the grass seed. I found some other lawn products, fertilizer, weed killer, grub control, all those kinds of things. They were all where they were supposed to be, and no grass spreader. I was having a conniption. Not literally, but I was starting to get a little bit rattled, because my method of organization looks like chaos to my wife, but I generally know exactly where anything is, because that's where I always put it. It might be in a pile of stuff, but I know what's in the pile. It doesn't make sense to someone that's very organized, with things laid out in order and neatness. That's not me. So I'm standing there for a long time. I was there for a long time, many minutes. And I'm within a 5-foot radius. I'm looking at all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, yep, that's where that is. Yep, that's where that is. Yep, that's where that is. Finally, I said, Lord, where in the world did I put that grass spreader? I started laughing to myself because I was looking in the same spots expecting for it to suddenly materialize. I was like, I don't know. And I said out loud, I don't know where it is because I don't put it anywhere else. Well, I was going to give it up, but I just couldn't leave the garage. I felt compelled to just mill around the garage. So I milled around the garage. And guess what I found? Not anywhere near where the grass stuff is and the lawn stuff is. The grass spreader. Totally in a place, I have no idea, but when I picked it up, I remembered putting it there. Last autumn, I came in the garage. I don't remember what the circumstance was. I just remember being in a little bit of a hurry. So maybe I was rushing so I could pick up my granddaughter from school or something, because I do that sometimes. And in that circumstance, I just tossed it over in one spot just to put it away fast, and then I needed to leave. Well, that's where it was. The Lord knew where it was. And I believe it was him that kept me in the garage and put it in my head, you just have to keep milling around here. And next thing I know, I found it. I then picked it up and put it over with the grass and the lawn stuff. So when I try and use it in the coming days, I will know exactly where it is. Well, that seems really trivial and silly, and I was trying to use a lighthearted example to show if you simply believe that He hears you, and you really believe He will help and give you an answer, sometimes you just have to kind of wait around and get out of your comfort zone, and then you'll see the answer that He's trying to show you. Hopefully that makes sense to somebody. Well, God bless you today. I will cut this off here. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope your day has been blessed. I hope to see you this Sunday, 10:30, at the True by Hilton, the main conference room on the first floor. That's where we've been meeting for some time now. And God bless you. Have a great evening.